Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the TTG Esports Twitch channel for round number 2 of the TTG Esports Invitational here on the PC platform. After what was a brilliant race at the Bahrain Grand Prix, we're certainly hoping that Spa can deliver as well. It is round 2 for the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge, and joining me once again is Ayub Khan. And Ayub, if last week's anything to go by, we're certainly going to have a very close and very exciting race tonight.
Yeah, Spa's always a great track for league racing. It's always really close with the DRS and everything, and yeah, it's quite a track that requires a lot of skill in the middle sector. So yeah, it's going to be a tough test for the drivers, but yeah, looking forward to a good race.
Yeah, definitely. You can see there, obviously, Bahrain last week, as we already mentioned. It was a very, very interesting race as well. For quite a long time, it looked like Simon Vietar was going to be the one who would take the victory here. He got involved with an incident that dropped him a long way down the order. Then it looked like it was going to be Dylan Warren taking the victory, but you might remember spinning on the penultimate corner of the race on the final lap, dropped him down to 8th. And in the end, it was Nardi Perez who was able to take the victory. You can see the championship standings there with Codon N'Golo. Arturo de Juan ended up finishing in 4th place in the end of that because of penalties, I believe, for Yene Dovzan and Dimitri Minic in the end. Means it's now 37 points for FVR. ETA up there on 22 points. And WOR really standing out towards the bottom there on no points. Their pace has shown, though, that they're a much better team than that. Don't be surprised to see them starting to climb up the order. But it is only 5 races. They haven't got too much time.
Yeah, it was a shame for WR as it looked really promising for them Bahrain, and it just seemed to kind of capitulate towards the end. Simon obviously having the incident, and yeah, I'm sure they'll be looking to obviously bounce back from that with the 2 new drivers in the racing tonight. I think it's Drake and Kona, so yeah, but it was quite a shame for them, and I'm sure they'll be really disappointed.
Yeah, you can see the lineups there. We will go through them then. It is Thomas Lamanen and Matteo De Campo for TTG. ETA, Georges Nader, a very fast driver that we saw in challenges on the PlayStation. More known for that platform, is just starting to make his first steps onto the PC. He'll be alongside Bogdan Moldovan tonight, just in that racer again for consistent alongside Duza. For Skyzers, is it going to be Raul Reyes and Jose Manuel Ibarra? ADRT are going to have Jan Haladej and Alberto Barras. WOR, as we've already mentioned, with a very strong lineup there. I believe now they might actually have Primoz Miklavčić in the car alongside Jona Martins. Of course, Miklavčić, a very fast everyone has seen him in challenges and top leagues as well, even if it is Drake Dempsey instead. Again, another very fast driver. WOR proving why they were probably one of the early favourites for this. Dovzan and Reach for Shazoo. Carlman and Nyquist again for Intrepid. Probably the surprise package of last time out. Codon N'Golo and Modesto Mena for FVR. Last but not least, it's going to be RJW Videos and Kango Khan for Excel. And we mentioned briefly there, we expected FVR and ETA to be towards the top. Maybe we expected a bit more of WOR, but Intrepid did a superb job. Both of their cars in the top 10. Vincent getting a podium. They'll be hoping that they can kick on from that tonight.
Yeah, they had a fantastic debut event. They were both really strong. Both Vincent showing really good pace. He was able to stick with the top 5 and bring home a really good result. And Noel as well, bringing home points for the teams. So they'll have been really pleased with the first round, and I'm sure they'll be hoping to build on that and try and cement a good position in the championship. Yeah,
certainly. As we've already said, it is a very short championship. You can just briefly see the calendar appearing on screen there. Saudi Arabia next week. Imola 2 weeks after that one. We are going to have a break week for the Champions League final where, spoiler alert people, Liverpool will be hoping to make it another trophy this season to go with the League Cup and now the FA Cup. And then we will be ending the season on the 11th of June at the Interlagos circuit. It just feels right to end at Interlagos, doesn't it? Belgium. We'll speak briefly about the circuit then. Obviously 7-mile long, completely different challenge to what we saw last time out at Bahrain, especially because there's always that risk of some wet weather around here, and that could lead to a mixed up qualifying or a mixed up race.
Yeah, for sure. Wet weather always throws up I don't want to say issues, but it throws up different drivers suit different conditions, and sometimes certain drivers do struggle in wet conditions. A lot of them don't practice the wet conditions, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top depending on what the weather will be.
Yeah, you'd certainly be a brave individual, I think, to go into a race at Spa having not practiced the wet weather. It is always, as we've said, a circuit, one of those probably alongside Silverstone, possibly even alongside Brazil, what we're going to see in a few weeks' time. It is one of those tracks where you sort of just expect there to be that possibility of rain happening. We'll quickly flash up the teams there on screen. We've already talked already about WOR being a very fast team. ET8 last time, second place with Sergio Sabrino and Dylan Warren. Both of their cars were towards the front. With the lineup they've got tonight, you'd probably expect similar, both of those to be fighting for podiums and possibly a victory.
Yeah, for sure. George Nader, a proven driver on the PS platform and now moving to PC. He was in Challengers on PlayStation, and I'm sure he'll be looking to transfer all of that pace onto PC now, as a lot of drivers are doing, moving from console to PC. So yeah, he'll be looking to state his name on the platform.
Yeah, will do indeed. We are just waiting for the final driver to join the lobby. I don't know if I'm in the mood to name and shame at the moment, but I think it is actually one of the Sky's team drivers that we are just waiting for. Then we'll be able to get things underway. It is a standard league racing format, of course, that I'm sure we're all used to. The short 18-minute qualifying session, 25%, well, 50% I should say, race distance, 22 laps that is going to be around Belgium, 25 points for the winner, 18 for second, basically the same point system as Formula 1. So you've definitely got to be up there or thereabouts towards the front of this race. Shouldn't be too long before we get qualifying underway. And again, a bit like Bahrain, it's one of those where the alternate strategy can work quite well. And it's one of those circuits in the race where DRS is probably going to be all important. And possibly qualifying not too important, because that run down towards turn 1, La Source, is very short. But if you're in second place, as we've seen in reality on numerous occasions, it does give you a brilliant opportunity to get the slipstream down the Kemmel Straight and possibly lead by the end of lap 1.
Yeah, for sure. Starting just kind of in the top 3, you're in a really good position, because you can get a lot of slipstream up Eau Rouge and possibly take the lead at the end of Sector 1 or through Blanchimont as well. So yeah, you kind of just want to be near the front. Yeah, it's not like you don't have to be too desperate to be on pole at this track. Kind of like a lot of tracks, obviously with DRS and slipstream, you can afford to kind of sit behind and save ERS and just manage your tyres, and then towards the end of the race you can look at making a move. So yeah, track position isn't the biggest thing around this track, but obviously you will want to be near the front, so coming near the end of the race you're in a position where you can kind of make moves and get to the front.
Yeah, that is something that you can definitely do as well towards the end of the race. I think soft medium, like we see on all circuits, is going to be the one around here. Unless you make a mistake on lap 1 and get some damage, then you might be tempted to go for the hard tyres. But I think even then you could possibly stretch a set of mediums right towards the end of the race, being the longest circuit on the calendar at the moment in Formula 1, of course. Just over 7 kilometres, about 4.3 miles, as we saw earlier. 1 minute 40s, we're going to see time sort of in that area. Means you can't really get too many qualifying runs. There are a few circuits that we might see, Brazil and Imola, for example, to try and get their way up the order. Brazil and Imola, you can sometimes get 3 or 4 laps around here. Around here, it is pretty much going to be 3 laps, and if you get a mistake, then you are going to find yourself in trouble. It's not a circuit where you really see too many track limit violations. There's plenty of places that can catch you out. The obvious ones being up the hill, Eau Rouge and Radion. Another corner that can also cause quite a lot of problems is the entry to Pujon. You hit that curb on the entry, you're going to be in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. Qualifying can be quite nervy around here. Not purely just from validations, but just generally there's a lot of places that you can make mistakes, like you said, Pujon, and even Lake Com on this game is quite tricky with the curbs. So yeah, drivers will be under quite a lot of pressure just to get a banker lap and get themselves a good delta, something for the last 2 laps to aim at, because often people invalidate the first 2 laps, so they make huge mistakes, and it kind of leaves them under pressure towards the end of the session, as they don't really have a good delta to aim at. So yeah, a lot of drivers will probably be quite cautious and safe in their first laps, just to kind of build themselves up towards the end of the session.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea to do around here. Just make sure you get that first lap in. I said it's not one where you see too many invalidations. If you are going to see one, it's No Name Speaker's corner. Bit of ironically, for a corner that is called No Name, it has many different sorts of names that they try and use for it. I think Jackie X corner is another one coming down the hill at Bruchel. We'll see some side-by-side action around there. I think often when moves are done into Lacombe, they don't get finished out until quite a long way down the hill. 2 DRS straights, 1 down towards La Source, where you won't see too many overtakes because it is followed by that much bigger DRS straight down the Kemmel Straight, of course. And you've got to be careful. There's always that little tactical game that I've seen it happen in the F1 sometimes, in real life and on the game. And I saw it happen, I think, quite controversially once on Gran Turismo, where there is no DRS, where it is just slipstreaming. If you're too close to the car in front, going through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, you have to back off, and that really ruins your chances of getting any overtake.
Yeah, a lot of people do use that turn one tactic where they can just let the car ahead go, and they can try and get the DRS and slipstream and re-overtake. As often that can be kind of a better strategy rather than staying ahead, especially depending on ERS levels, because a lot of people, perhaps if the guy ahead is on a lower ERS than the guy behind, he might try and do something different, otherwise he becomes a sitting duck. So yeah, we might see that towards the end of the race, trying different things, perhaps working with teammates depending on where they both are on track. So it'll definitely be an interesting watch to see what people are doing with the 2 DRS zones.
Yeah, we will with the tactics as well. It's always a dangerous thing to do. Maybe not so much if there's only 2 of you there. If there's a 3rd car in the mix, it is always dangerous to try to let the one in front. We saw it happen in F1 Esports at Austin. Nicholas Longay just getting the timing wrong, letting Jarno Opmeer and other cars ahead of him, and in the end not even getting the DRS off them. We have finally got all 20 cars in the lobby. Clearly someone was keen to watch the first part of the Eurovision Song Contest going on. They did want to make sure that they weren't missing the beginning of that, and hopefully this race will get pretty quickly going, and then everyone won't be able to miss the end of it. Of course, we said already it's going to be a fast qualifying. It is probably going to be close, and I'm just going to double check the rules, because I think we did get a question about this at the last time out. There's nowhere in the rules, I don't think, where it says slipstreaming isn't allowed, and I am going to very quickly flick through them to try and find that out, because it's always an interesting thing that happens in qualifying sessions. If you can get a slipstream working, that's always brilliant and will be really helpful around here.
Yeah, for sure. Slipstream can be really overpowered. There's locations where you can get a really good slipstream for quite a while, so that can gain you up to probably around 210s, maybe more. So yeah, drivers will be probably looking to utilise that, and teams that perhaps plan that and prepared for that. Drivers in parties as well, or calls together, will definitely be looking to utilise that, as it can give you a good advantage, especially perhaps if you do feel you're lacking quality pace, or you just obviously want that little bit of extra edge over your rivals.
Yeah, it can also, like we said, it can always help just with that tiny little margin, and quite often in esports, in any sort of league racing, it is that tiny little margin that is all that happened. And I just had a quick flick through the rules. I couldn't see anywhere where it didn't say slipstreaming was allowed. So go nuts, people, but just remember my word is not law, and the stewards might actually take a different opinion, and it might have been mentioned in another chat that we don't have access to. But as you can see, it is qualifying time, 18 minutes underway. We have got a few cars heading there out on the circuit, the majority of them showing the soft tyres at the moment. A few drivers you can see there, Halliday, for example, just flicking between softs and mediums. Manuel also another one that is showing a set of medium tyres. But we have got a couple of cars out there, and the 2 ET8 boys have gone out fairly early on. That is Nadir and Moldovan, the first 2 cars out there on track. Again, they, as a team, they showed brilliant pace, and it is great for them that they have got this strength in depth, that they can replace 2 very good drivers with 2 equally good drivers.
Yeah, that'll give them a lot of confidence, having a good roster and having confidence in their drivers, that they, despite showing good pace in Bahrain, they're willing to put in these 2 new drivers and, trust them with bringing home another good result. Obviously, towards the end of the race, Dylan Warner didn't quite work out with the 1-2 that they were looking at, but yeah, Sergio still bringing home a really good result, and Dylan still got a couple points, so yeah, not complete disaster, but yeah, a lot less than what they were probably hoping for. So yeah, we'll be looking at seeing cars perhaps using the slipstream, or perhaps they're maybe going to wait till their final runs.
Yeah, it's always a risk. You can get it wrong with the slipstream. You can look very intelligent, you can look very stupid as well. It's one of those things that can very easily backfire in Formula 1. A quick reminder of the standings then going into tonight's race. I know we did flash them up earlier. FER on 37 points, ET8 on 22, Intrepid on 17, Shazoo 10, CRE 8, TTG 6, Geysers with a 1 sole point, XL, WOR and ADRT. Three very decent teams there towards the bottom of the order, yet to get off the mark, and we'll be hoping for a lot more luck around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. But for now, let's follow Dylan Wong around. Let's see what the Lebanese man can do, well, as fellow George Nadir round, I should say, on a lap of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, on his way down towards turn number 1, La Source, just a slight little lock up over the front right, no worries whatsoever, trying to get those 900 horsepower down on the run past the old pit, still used for endurance racing, and then Eau Rouge and Radion, modern Formula 1 car in the drying qualifying, no bother whatsoever, barely you need to even turn the steering wheel. DRS open then for Dylan Warren for George Nadir as he makes his way down this DRS straight. 201 miles per hour, about 323, 324 kilometers per hour. Spots his braking point for the right, left, and then right again of Lacombe and Malmedy. Nice and clean for Nadir as he now heads towards Bruxelles. A very tough corner to get right. It's easy to lock the front right there, but nice and steady from the Lebanese driver. Through the no-name corner, needs to be careful here that he doesn't run too wide. You can take the Esports line if you want to, but George choosing to stay well away from that as he comes through Pouhon, just touching the curb a little bit on the left-hand side and just about getting away with that one as we head towards the campus chicane, a medium-speed chicane. We see a lot of drivers run wide or spin on the exit here. Very nicely done, though, from Nadir as he comes through that first part into Stabilo. And now it's all about being flat out through Paul Frere. It's important to get Stabilo right. We've now got one of the longest flat out sections, of course, on the circuit, heading towards the fearsome Blanchimont corner, where 7 years ago saw Max Verstappen go for a bold move around the outside of Felipe Nasr in his Sauber. Spot your braking point towards the bus stop chicane, now a more conventional chicane after the rework after the 2005 Belgian Grand Prix. This has been a very good lap from Nadir so far. Heads towards the finish. 1:41.375 for a first lap. A solid banker indeed. I feel like there might be more pace to come from him and others.
Yeah, that was a good banker from George. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. It looked like a relatively safe lap. He didn't use too many curbs. He didn't seem like he took too many risks, which was quite smart. Obviously, getting a lap on the board and having a reference now and being able to build on that for the rest of the session. And I think Modesto got a lot of traffic towards the end of his lap there. I'm sure he will be best pleased about that. But yeah, George's banker does look well clear of everyone else at the moment. So yeah, I'm sure him and the 88 boys will be happy with that and looking to build on that.
Yeah, well, we said, we feel like drivers can go faster. No one's banker's been able to go faster at the moment, so that's still looking pretty good from Nadir at that time. Tony Ricci for the Shazoo team, his teammate up there in 5th at the moment. He's yet to set a lap. Jose Manuel, the only one that has attempted a lap on the mediums. It's not really been where he would have wanted. 1:44.0. As with all leagues, you are going to have to set a lap on the softs if you want to get yourself into the top 10. I can't see anyone managing to making their way through on a set of the medium tyres. Koda N'Golo, he heads towards the line. What's it going to be for on his first run? Goes into 8th place. So it is Nadir, Minna, Laminen, your top 3 at the moment. Intrepid up there again. Vincent Nyquist in 4th place. And Dovzan, Moldova, and Duzel, Koda N'Golo, Haladej, and Martins, your top 10 drivers. We did see a few invalidations there. So that's, as we've said already, not ideal, especially if you've not got enough fuel to go around and set yourself another lap time. As we'll see Primoz Miklavčić here. Yeah, he's not going flat out. He will just head his way towards the pit lane. And this is always the danger. If you don't get that first banker lap in, it's kind of okay as long as you've got enough time to get that second run in. If this was after your second run and you haven't got a banker lap, there's always that danger. Do you go all out knowing that you could start at the back, or do you hold a tiny bit back? Maybe a couple attempts slower, but knowing that in a grid this tight, that could cost you 5, 6, possibly even more places.
Yeah, that's the pressure you put on yourself by not getting a lap on the board. Kind of makes you double check yourself if you want to go just push 100% or if you want to push 90%, because the risk with going 100% is you could invalidate that final run and have zero. You could not even have a time on the board, or by going 90% you could still end up towards the back because the time just wasn't quick enough. And with a field like this, going 90% can cost you quite a lot. So yeah, certain drivers will be a little bit nervous now not having a banker, but there is only a couple of them, so I'm sure they'll be looking down the second run to just get a lap on the board and focus for that final run and try and extract all that they can.
Yeah, someone who did extract all they can, I think, out of the tyres on that run. Again, it's something we've seen a lot of on F1 2021. It remains to be seen over F1 22. We've obviously completely different tyres and completely different cars, how things work out on that. But Tony Ricci taking advantage of those soft tyres on a second run, getting himself up into 4th. Shows Sejong looking in a good place at the moment. Both of them putting in good in 4th and 6th place. We'll see who else is up there towards the top of the road. We'll see if anyone else is going for another one. It looks like it is fairly quiet out there on track now. A few drivers just on in laps. Raul Reyes down in 16th. Skeisers did only manage to pick up 1 point last time out with Alex Santana, but they're not really testing the top of the standings. Of course, Jose, we haven't seen what he can do on a set of the soft tyres yet. Excel, both of their drivers outside the top 10. Still plenty of time, though, to go. And Dylan Watt, and again, George Nadir looks like he is going to be the first man to head out and set this second run. Again, trying to go early, trying to make sure that you avoid any of the traffic, as we saw from Modesto, can cause problems, even on a circuit as long as this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure Modesto was quite disappointed as his lap seemed to be quite good. 0.6, perhaps that last sector. Not sure, we don't know what his time was, but it probably did cost him a little bit seeing all those cars into bus stop chicane. So yeah, for sure he probably has time in his lap, as probably the whole grid does. So yeah, George will be feeling pretty confident, you know, seeing that he's well clear of everyone else's banker, but he'll be knowing himself that there's improvements to come, so he can't rest on that time, and he'll be looking to improve on the second run.
Yeah, he will be. He'll be hoping, obviously, with the track evolution to find a bit of time. We have had it confirmed that slipstreaming is allowed, and we're seeing the 2 Aston Martins and 2 Alpha Tauris. You can see them both coming down the Kemmel Straight now. They're very close together out on circuit, so whether they'll be doing any of these slipstreaming tactics, either down there or down towards Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane as well. It's always risky if there's a second one, if you end up running out of time or the first driver makes a mistake, and you don't really get to see what the best of your lap could have been. But again, George's going to be the first driver out. 8 minutes 40 remaining in this session. Adair, Maynard, Laminen, Reach, Nyquist, Dovzan, Moldovan, De Campo, Duzan, Kodanin, Golo. As that's a bit wild through the final part of the source. And you can see here, they're clearly trying to get the slipstream working. Let's see how well this does. I'd say you might be a tiny bit closer to what is ideal, but almost perfect from ETA. Just a lovely bit of slipstream. We'll wait and see what this Sector 1 time is going to be for Georges Nadir. You'd expect him to have gained at least a couple of tenths of a second on his best. And there you go, 0.15. Just invalidates out on the way into Lacombe. Maybe forgetting that he's going into that corner quite a bit faster than he was the previous one.
Yeah, I think he might have actually invalidated into turn 1, because I think even during the slipstream, I think he was invalid. So I think it might have been on the exit turn because he got quite squirrely. But yeah, that's a big shame for him, because he probably had a lot of confidence after the banker run, and he was going to get a load of slipstream from his teammate, which would have helped a lot. But yeah, ET will be a little bit disappointed, but sure, there's another run to go, and he'll probably be giving slipstream to his teammate now for his second run. But yeah, not ideal for the McLaren driver, but yeah, still plenty of time to make it right, and he's still out on top for now.
Yeah, still out on top for now. We'll wait and see what can happen. One of the drivers left to set a lap, of course, Miklevcic, taking a much more aggressive line on the entry into Pouhon, taking a much more aggressive curb through the second part of the campus chicane, really striking that. You won't be able to do that on 22. He wasn't able to get away with it on 2021 either. Won't be surprised if he hasn't got a lot of fuel in that car. I was about to say I wouldn't be surprised if he backs off of this run, but I think he's in a situation where he's really just got to go for it now and at least get a time on the board and see what can happen on his final one. But Miklevcic coming through the final couple of corners then for WOR Esports. They're in 12th and 19th for this qualifying session and didn't score many points last time out, so they'll be hoping to get their way up the order. And even despite that mistake, still just over a tenth of a second off of pole position. Very good lap from Miklevcic. Nyquist has started himself up into 4th place. We are seeing some more improvements now. Manuel's got up there into, I believe, 15th. And we've got one of the Haas cars coming around the final part of the lap. That is our JW videos. He has invalidated as things stand, so we won't be seeing any improvements from him. Modesto Mena in 4th, Coden Ngolo in 12th place. They're looking close together again, looking like they might have tried for slipstream, so we'll follow Mena around the final couple of corners. Another driver alongside Nadir, who raced on the challenges on the PlayStation side. Couldn't find any improvement on that lap. He stays in 4th place. His teammate comes across the line, shoots himself up into 5th. Again, FVR looking very strong.
Yeah, the two Alpha Tauris right beside each other in that top mix as Laminin goes 4th. But yeah, they're in the mix, they're near the front, so they'll be relatively happy with that. Obviously, Modesto probably won't be too pleased as he didn't improve in his banker run, but yeah, as we said, there's a third and final run still to come. But yeah, they're in the mix, they're near the front, which is what they'll be pleased with. They can probably work together as well if they do start. one another. Oh,
Yeah, I've just seen, Raul Reyes getting it wrong. A similar place to where we saw Miklevchich get it. The difference was, I think the Mercedes was able to catch it, and Reyes was unable to do. Down in 19th at the moment. He clearly will not be improving on this run, and it looks like another driver who's sort of marooned off the bottom. We've got 1.5 seconds separating the top 18 drivers, and you've got a further half a second back to Reyes and Barros, who, of course, we saw Barros set his fastest lap on a set of mediums. I think he's just trying to work himself a bit of space. Dovzan shut himself up into second while all of that was going on, so a great lap by him. Moldovan now up into 6th, so ET8 still getting themselves up towards the order, and we've got some support here for Shazoo from one of their former drivers, Tom Roberts, now with Parnell Racing, of course. So whether we'll see him transition over to the PC or whether he'll stay on PlayStation for a bit longer remains to be seen. 4 minutes 30 to go. Just proves how good that first banker lap was from Nadir, that no one has been able to beat it.
Yeah, it was a stonk of a banker from the McLaren driver. No one's... Dobson's got a little bit close, but still, everyone's... Just after Dobson, everyone's still 10th away, so... we'll be looking to improve on that final run, but still, it'll probably be giving him a lot of confidence that banker run still keeps him out on top. And ET will be very pleased with that as well.
Yeah, they will. I think, again, we said possibly one of the favourites for this season, and proved that back in as keen. Alberto's made a mistake, 1.5 tenths up, already invalidated that lap. I think another one having a bit of fun at La Source, so they're not finding it too easy out on the circuit at the moment. And ADRT down at the bottom of the championship, as their drivers really did struggle last time. They've got Haladej, a decent driver who we've seen in other team events, we've seen in other leagues. He's definitely someone who has got pace and can maybe get himself involved here. Peso, I think some of you might know him by. He's in 13th. He's going out early. Nadir, Miklevchich, Nyquist going out early. And again, Intrepid. Well, certainly with Vincent Nyquist up there towards the front of the order. Noel Coleman a bit further down. But if he can get himself up into 12th or 13th, I don't think they'd be too bothered about that, because it does put you in a prime position to make that alternate strategy work.
Yeah, the relatively new team will be quite happy with how the season's gone so far. Obviously a strong first race, and they'll be hoping for something similar tonight as well. Vincent's been on the PC platform for a wee while, and he always has been a very fast driver, so he was a good signing for the team, and he'll be looking to bring home good points for the team as well tonight.
Yeah, he's a very young driver as well. I think he's only 12 or 13 years old. It is absolutely ridiculous that I think Cone Masters have had the F1 franchise for longer than Vincent has been alive, which it's just making me feel really old at the moment. That and the slight backache that I've got right now. 12 and 14, their combined ages is younger than me. This is not what I needed to be seeing. It's like when I think Sebastian Vettel said to Lewis Hamilton, once we start getting beaten by someone born in the 2000s, it's over for them. And they've both been beaten by Yuki Tsunoda in a race this year, so maybe that is something to keep an eye on. Just getting reminded that it is still free tyre choice for the race as well, so no alternate strategy. It is just all about going for it in this qualifying lap. And someone who is doing early on is Jan Haladej. 7/10 of a second off pole position at the moment. Let's see what the man from the Czech Republic can do as he heads towards that first sector timing point. He's already about 1.5 tenths up and attacking the curbs at Lacombe.
Yeah, very aggressive from the Alfa Romeo there. Completely different to George's banker lap. As we saw, he decided not to take any curb, and generally was fairly safe with the lap. Obviously the time was there, he extracted the time and probably corner speed and everything, exit speed, etc., not taking too many risks, and it still has him at the top. So yeah, we'll see what he has to come in his final run as we're nearing right to the end of the quali.
Yeah, 1 minute 20 seconds remaining, so everyone either on their final runs or about to start them. Few of these drivers might have a chance to get a second one in. And yeah, George's lap, despite not looking brilliantly fast, it's top of the standings at the moment, and that is sometimes the case. A lap that is nice and smooth can be superbly quick as well, like clearly just nailing every apex, despite maybe knocking that 1% commitment off, really proving to be useful. Haladej is nearly 3/10 of a second up at the moment, so we'll see what he can do. Coming through the bus stop chicane, this lap should be good enough to get himself up into the top 10, possibly the sole ADRT driver to get himself up there, depending on what Barros can do on his final runs. Haladej towards the line, lost a bit of time in the final sector in the end, so does only just sneak himself towards the top 10. Someone who is improving massively, though, is our current pole sitter. He's been top for the entire session. What can Georges Nader do as he heads towards the finish line in the McLaren for ETA? Is it a 140? Just misses out, but a 141.036. That sends a message to the rest of the grid for the final laps of this qualifying session. They are going to have to come up with something special.
Yeah, that'll probably put in a marker now over 4 tenths clear of any other driver at the moment. So yeah, he might have just cemented himself for pole, but we're yet to see. Perhaps drivers have got a lot of time in their laps, and other drivers may be utilising slipstream as well. So yeah, we'll find out what other drivers can manage.
Yeah, we'll see what all the drivers can manage as Reyes goes across the line in 19th. So that is it for his run. I think his teammate as well making a mistake on his run. That's why he ended up giving the slipstream. So not really working out as well as they would have wanted. Modesto Maina's improving at the moment. He's about a quarter of a second up, so might get himself under front row alongside Georges Nader. Be surprised if he goes fastest. Does manage to slot himself, though, into that second place. One of the TTG drivers next. It's not going to be Matteo. That is going to be Thomas Lamanen. He's got himself up into third place. Ferrari's coming around the final few corners. Yene Dovzan goes into third place now. What can Tony Rishi do? Can he make it both Shazoo drivers into the top 5 in this session? Comes towards the line. In the end, just misses out in 6th place. It's one of the consistent drivers. Next, that was just in that racer. He's going to be in 16th place. We've got another AlphaTauri of Koda N'Golo making his way around the final few corners. So, coming through the bus stop, can he find an improvement? Only up into 2nd. 7th in the end. Duzza is improving. Might get himself into the top 10 with this time. Does just sneak himself in towards 7th place. One of the Hassers, Kango-Con. We've not spoke about the XL team too much. He's got himself into 9th. Moldovan into the pits. No disrespect to everyone in the rest of this order. I can't see them now really challenging Georges Nader in this session. Matteo De Campo finds a good improvement though for TTG. Maybe just speaking a bit too soon. Gets himself up into 6th place. What's Jona Martins going to do? He's not really setting the timing sheets alight here. Only finds himself in 14th. That is it for this qualifying session. And it is Georges Nader at the top of the standings. ET8 once again looking very, very good here at Belgium.
Yeah, a very good lap from George. He looked on top pretty much the whole of qualifying, so yeah, you'd be very happy with that. As we said though, qualifying isn't everything around this track, so he's still got a tough job ahead of him with Modesto behind and Yerne Dovson. Probably a disappointing qualifying for the WR guys, especially after the strong start they had in Bahrain in qualifying and the early parts of the race. To only be 6th and 14th, so yeah, they'll probably be a little bit disappointed, but obviously we've got a 22 lap race ahead to make up for any qualifying mistakes or disappointments.
Yeah, they've definitely got time to get over it, and as we've seen, it is free tyre choice, so although the alternate strategy isn't going to be a thing in the conventional sense, maybe drivers will just go for something completely different on the strategy. It's Georges Nader, then the Lebanese driver on top. Once I finally stopped calling him Dylan Warren, apologises to that George and Dylan. Modesto Maina then in 2nd place in league racing, getting pole position by more than a quarter of a second. Is quite a margin indeed. Yone Dovzan in 3rd place, Thomas Lemanen in 4th, Nikwist, Miklevcic, De Campo, Riche, Koda N'Golo and Moldovan round out the top 10. Kango-Con is just outside. It does have in 12th. Haladej Martins on that 7th row of the grid. Then it'll be Noel Carmen just in that racer. Jose Manuel, RJW Videos, Raul Reyes and Albertos Barros failing to really set a faster lap time. They are the 20 drivers. That is going to be the running order for the race. And as we've said, free tyre choice probably lends to a lot of their drivers heading onto the mediums. There'll be a few probably starting on the softs, but not too many.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Spa isn't traditionally like a circuit that is too overpowered for the alternate strategy. Of course, it does have its advantage, but it'll be interesting to see who in the top 5, top 10 chooses to start on mediums or softs. And people might go for the conventional soft medium despite having the ability to start on the mediums, or the majority might just choose mediums as they did in Bahrain. So yeah, it will be interesting and to see. We might see quite varied strategies between different teams and different drivers.
Yeah, which is always what we want to see. It'd be nice if we saw one team maybe go for one driver on the softs, one for the mediums. It's something you see, obviously, if they've got one outside the top 10, one inside the top 10 in a more conventional situation, but here with everyone getting that free tyre choice, that sort of ends that conventional situation, but it's always something to go for, because there's always that risk if you do start on the medium tyres. If there's an early safety car, you know, maybe not lap 1, but certainly somewhere around lap 2, lap 3, if we get ourselves an early safety car, then everyone that started on the softs can come in for a set of the medium tyres, and you're kind of just stuck at the start of the field.
Yeah, depending on what strategy, you can kind of get messed up depending on like the safety cars or just general incidents or whatever. You can get, depending on whatever strategy. If you do go in the mediums and early safety car does come out, it can mess up your strategy majorly. Obviously, having to go into hards perhaps, or having to stay out, and other drivers just being able to go into a set of mediums and go to the end can really kind of ruin your race. So you do run a risk by starting on the so-called alternate strategy. Of course, with the free tire choice, it's not, but yeah, we might see drivers go for conventional soft mediums due to that kind of safety car fear, or just in general, maybe having the ability to break DRS in the middle sector and feeling that might be the better choice for them.
Yeah, it is an important thing to make note of. If you can break the DRS, it is powerful, possibly not quite as powerful as it is in Bahrain with the 3 DRS zones, but is it always a very, very handy thing to do if you are able to break that DRS train in the early stages. Probably be able to pull 3 or 4 tenths of a second a lap compared to someone who hasn't got DRS. That will make a massive difference. It isn't a long pit lane here. It's quite a short pit lane loss. We're talking around 17 or 18 seconds. So that is an opportunity if drivers feel like they have to 2-stop for some reason. They're possibly not fully out of the race, but in a more conventional situation, we are going to be expecting a one-stop strategy for everyone, unless we get some rain and we're completely clueless. Of course, what's the weather going to be like? They will take whatever the weather was meant to be for the race, and we're not too sure what that was. So we're in the dark, which I kind of enjoy, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's always nice to maybe be surprised with something different to what you were just kind of expecting a normal dry race. But yeah, we'll find out soon whether we will see an intermediate or a full wet race, or perhaps one of those races where there's a crossover period, which is always quite interesting. Let's shortly find out.
Yeah, we will find out. Other drivers, I must say, are joining the lobby very quickly indeed for the restart, which is brilliant. I think we were all rattling on and off at the start of the session. Never mind now. We will, though, we'll take this opportunity to remind you what the grid order was again. George Nader on pole position. Modesto Mina will be in second. Dovzan, Laminen, Nyquist, and Miklavcic. And then your top 6 drivers, 6 different teams in the top 6. Absolutely fantastic to see. The first team to get 2 drivers to have both their drivers high up the grid is Matteo De Campo in 7th place for TTG, Tony Ricci in 8th, Coda N'Golo and Bogdan Moldovan, they round out the top 10. Kango Khan is 11th. These are the first of the consistent drivers who got a good result last time out in Bahrain with a 6th position. They're 12th on the grid with Duzza, and then 16th for Justin That Racer, Halliday, Martins, Carlman, Justin, as we mentioned, Manuel, RJW, Raul Reyes, and Alberto Barros. If someone is going to try something different, wouldn't surprise me if it is someone like Alberto, who didn't get a lap on a set of the soft tyres, might feel like he's out of place, and might feel like a set of soft tyres could at least work his way through some traffic in the early stages if he has got better pace than those in front of him.
Yeah, there might be a few drivers like that who perhaps feel they're out of place in qualifying and try and do something different in strategy, try and work their way up the order. Maybe it's Jonah Martin, someone like that, just someone who perhaps feel is out of place or out of sync, maybe go in a softer competent tyre and try and slowly work their way through the field and then just go from there. Perhaps an early safety car could come out and help them out as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what variant strategies people go with, teams perhaps choosing to put different drivers on different strategies, but yeah, we're not long to wait and we can find out what people are doing.
Yeah, it is, as we've said, because the tyre wear's not really too much. It is one of those where if you do start, on a set of soft tyres perhaps, I think on the mediums, the pit window will be a bit narrower. I've seen drivers come into the pits lap 3 or lap 4 off a set of soft tyres. I've seen them stretch it all the way to lap 8, lap 9, even lap 10 in some situations. You can do nearly half a race on both sets of tyres, so that does add that extra little bit of spice, that extra element. Again, the weather on our screen at the moment is a question mark, which says to me that it's going to be changeable at some point during the race. Because if it was going to be dry, you would have just set it to dry. So it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe it'll be too late for us actually to see the rain, because obviously you get to set the weather for 60 minutes. And this race, barring an absolute ton of safety cars should not take anywhere near 60 minutes. Belgium being one of the fastest circuits on the calendar. Next week as well, you can see the calendar there. Saudi Arabia, another extremely fast circuit, one that is very different to this, and then Imola and Brazil, another two historic circuits. And I think it is important for Formula 1 that they keep this mix. You've got your new circuits, your fancy ones. Bahrain, of course, still relatively new. Jeddah, extremely new. But the drivers, they do like these older circuits. A challenge that a Spa, an Imola, Silverstone, Suzuka, Interlagos seems to bring for the drivers. Monza, another one as well.
Yeah, for sure. Drivers do like to tend to like the traditional circuits, something that has a bit of heritage to it, something that has a bit of history to it, and just has a little bit of different feel to certain circuits. I feel like the newer circuits are kind of like people don't have like quite the heritage that comes with it. People don't have a special feel to it. Whereas tracks like Monza and Silverstone, you go there and it has that different feel. As we've seen in the drivers' chat, apparently Primoz said it's supposed to rain in the race. We don't know if that could be a joke or perhaps he is spot on, but it'll be interesting to see now. We have seen that question mark on the weather in the game as well, so yeah, we could have an interesting race now. Partly dry, partly wet, or full wet as well. So.
And again, that's another thing that could influence for tyre choice. If it's down to rain in the final few laps, do you maybe start on a set of hard tyres even to try and stretch them out until any rain comes? That's assuming it will rain heavy enough. I've done a race on, not on this F1 game, but on one of the earlier Codemasters ones. I think it might have been 2018 or 2019 now, where for the entire race it was raining. The entire race was on a set of slick tyres in that always dangerous greasy conditions. I think one thing we can all agree, we don't want it to be a race where it was the same weather as Belgium 2021, because even though, unlike that race, we would get cars out on track, when it's full rain all the way through, it's not really the most interesting it's definitely challenging to drive, but perhaps not the most interesting to drive. Definitely not most interesting for these viewers as well. But when you get mixed conditions, you never know what's going to happen, and sometimes in those it's worth taking a gamble if you're near the back, and who knows, you could end up looking like a hero. You could end up looking a bit of an idiot.
Yeah, making those risky strategy choices can always be, you either look like an absolute crazy guy, or you could come off like a huge hero. So it will be interesting to see what the weather is and what sort of strategies people go for. It could just be restart in rain and everyone has to start in intermediates or full wets, or it could be like we said, that kind of crossover where people do choose to start in the mediums or hards to try and get to the wet. That can always be also kind of weird, because if the rain isn't heavy enough, as you said, they might have to go into softs, and those who kind of went for a conventional strategy might favour them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's definitely one of those that I think everyone is going to have to be looking for. We shouldn't be too long before we are getting ready for this. I believe the host has set the grid at the moment, and everyone was readying up and seems to have stopped at one bit, but we are all getting nice and ready again. ET8 on pole position with Georges Dadair came, a mile away from taking a victory last time out. If he can convert the pace he's got in qualifying into the race, he's going to be extremely tough to beat.
Yeah, for sure. The pace that he showed in qualifying was menacing, so that probably did strike a little bit of fear in all the other drivers. But as we said, if it is dry at the start, DRS being enabled after lap 3, that should probably help people. If they are within a second, that should help them stay with them if they're able to stay within those first 3 laps, because I'm sure he'll be pushing very hard to try and create a gap to drive behind, as any leader would do. But we know the slipstream effect after turn 1, going up Eau Rouge and into the end of sector 1, we might see some side-by-side action as well.
Yeah, and as we said already, it's not you just alluded to it there, it's not always the easiest thing starting on pole position around this circuit. It can cause a few problems for you. That is going to be one thing to watch out for. We can tell you it is going to be at least a dry start to the race. It is looking like beautiful sunshine, so all the drivers will be choosing their strategies now, which we've already spoken plenty about. We haven't talked about, though, is choosing your setups, because Spa is really a circuit of mixtures. You've got Sector 1 and Sector 3, really all about top-end speed with the odd slow corner, and then the middle sector, it's probably where you gain most of your time, where you'd benefit from having extra downforce, but in the race, that could just leave you a sitting duck down the straights.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how people have set up their car, whether they've gone for low downforce and trying to optimize Sector 1 and Sector 3, or if they have kind of gone for kind of relatively high downforce and trying to maximise apex speed, etc. in Sector 2. And some people might have just went for a fairly balanced setup, tried to get the best of the whole track, you know, trying to have decent straight line speed whilst also not sacrificing too much in Sector 2. But if it is going to be partially wet or a full wet Grand Prix, you know, with the lobby restart, people could put on a new setup and, well, no one would really know. So we might see some drivers have their own wet setup and perhaps put that on, or kind of adjust their dry setup to what they normally would have ran, as obviously no Parc Fermé now with the lobby restart. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how people fare in the wet compared to the dry. And obviously some people do enjoy same conditions, so yeah, we'll see who's able to adjust well and strong race.
Yeah, we will see indeed what is about to happen around the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, just outside the village of Stavelot in Belgium, which of course lends its name to one of the corners. 7.004 miles, 19 corners, one of the most undulating circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. And we'll see what tyres everyone has gone for today, of course, to challenge their way around this race. We've got a bit of a mixture, a few drivers going for the soft tyres, and one to watch out for in the first few laps could be Erne Dovzan going for that set of soft. We can see the predicted strategies there. Soft to hard we'll only be seeing if there's any damage, I think, for one of the soft runners. Otherwise, it will be soft to medium, medium to soft, or who knows if we get weather dependent. But Dovzan, a very aggressive strategy here. He's going to be going for it into La Source. I think definitely into Les Combes as well.
Yeah, for sure. Starting on the softs is the aggressive strategy. Trying to get track position at the start and perhaps trying to break DRS, which at this track is possible, obviously with the middle sector. Having that tyre advantage could be crucial, but generally the other drivers have gone for the kind of conventional, if you have free tyre choice, going for the alternate strategy, medium soft. Obviously we don't know how the weather will play into things, but at the moment we can kind of just assume that it's going to be either soft medium or medium soft. So yeah, Yarny has gone for the aggressive strategy, as has his teammate, the other Ferrari. And I think Bogdan and Jona are the only other two cars on softs. So yeah, we'll see those four cars trying to work their way through the field. Obviously Dobson's only got 2 cars ahead, but the rest of them will try and gain some track position and try and get in amongst it in the midfield.
Yeah, certainly. I think, like we said, maybe someone who does feel like they are out of place. We would have expected Jona Martins to maybe be a tiny bit higher than his 14th place on the grid. So again, going for a set of soft tyres, trying something different. ET8 splitting their strategy. Shazoo deciding to go very aggressive with both Dovzan and Tony Richer on the softs. But it is George Nadir on that set of the mediums for McLaren, for ET8. The team second in the championship at the moment. Will they be leading heading into Saudi Arabia? We are going to find out in 22 minutes time. The lights are on. They go out and we're underway for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a decent start from Georges Nadir, straight away able to cover Modesto Mena, and as we expected, Erne Dovzan is sending one down the inside into the first corner. It's Nadir who leads, Dovzan in second place, and the slipstreaming begins down towards Eau Rouge and Madion. And then up the hill, down the Camel Straight, and Mena is all over the back of Dovzan. Rishanud, Koden and Golo have gone very close. We're 3 wide in the background. We might be nearly 3 wide for the lead of this race here. Dovzan versus Nadir. Mena has got nowhere to go. He's trying to force his way into it. Down the inside goes Dovzan. He takes the lead on lap number 1. Exactly what he would have wanted to do on that set of the soft tyres. Mena was unable to get any moves done there. He found himself a bit squashed in there. Nyquist trying to work his way past Laminen. He knows if he goes too greedy though, he's going to find himself in some trouble from Miklavcic and all the rest of the drivers behind. A perfect start, exactly what we expected though from Erne Dovzan. He's in the lead of this race and he's already nearly 1 second ahead.
Yeah, he's achieved exactly what him and his team were probably hoping for. He's done a great job. He got past the two cars ahead of him, and now he's already created that second gap and he's broke the DRS. So if he can keep this gap up until lap 3, I'm sure he'll be a very happy man. He can just kind of try and build this advantage before the pit stops. But yeah, he's done a great job, as is Jona Martins. He's picked up a few places. Tony and Bogdan not quite making the start they're probably hoping for on the softer tyre. But yeah, Erne Dovzan will be very happy with the start that he's made, and so should he'll be kind of hoping that his teammate can also make similar progress now, obviously having a tyre advantage, and hopefully work his way perhaps into the top 5 and slowly build, make some more progress, as there's some good battling going on for 8th place.
Yeah, there is. Moldovan there getting ahead of De Campo when we saw Vichy get ahead of him as well. And also now the Ferrari battling the Mercedes. We've seen plenty of this, of course, down this part of the circuit. 2017 and 2018. Hamilton versus Vettel. Hamilton coming on top in 17. Vettel coming out on top at the end in 2018. Vichy's got that position, but he is now more than a second behind. No DRS at the moment. But that will mean he's not getting too much of a slipstream from the Alpine of the intrepid man of Vincent Nyquist up ahead. And in the end, Miklevčić unable to get that one done. So he's lost a place. His teammate, though, the biggest winner on the first lap. 4 places gained for Jona Martins. Both WOR drivers in the points, which would be their first points of the season. ADRT and XL, the other 2 teams that have failed to score points. Unfortunately for XL, it has not been the greatest start to the race. So the other 2 Skyzer drivers are having a bit of fun with themselves. You can see down in 18th and 19th battling. Very early on there, on a set of soft tyres, Tony Veach with a penalty. And that says he's pushing, perhaps just a tiny bit too much.
Yeah, that's will be quite disappointing for him. Not sure if he picked up double warning, but I don't think it's very common around Spa to pick up double warning. So yeah, that's not ideal. It's probably made his race a lot harder for him than it already is, having those extra 3 seconds added on. But as the race does wear on, I'm sure we probably will see another couple of drivers pick up time penalties, as there's a lot of places on this track where you can pick up silly warnings, just extending the track or perhaps turning in a little bit too early and cutting. But his teammate Janne Dolfsen is doing a fantastic job, and he's obviously using that battery, but he's got over 2 seconds now to the McLaren. I'm sure the medium runners won't be too nervous about the soft runners, obviously, because they'll know they'll have the tyre advantage at the end and with a lighter car, etc. But yeah, I'm sure Dolfsen's doing exactly what he has to do, and he's probably quite pleased. I'm sure he's probably worked something out. He's probably quite confident in the soft medium strategy and trusts himself that this will work out.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to work out though. Bogdan Moldovan, quite brave, well, quite wisely, decided to back out with that move up Eau Rouge and Radion there. He's going to have the DRS, is as Miklevčić, and in fact everyone in this train is. And straight away, Vichy, he's got a decent car in a straight line. He's managed to make that work on the DRS up into 5th place. We've seen Modesto Mena as well get ahead of Georges Nader. So Mena now up into 2nd, 2.8 seconds off the lead of this race. But these can all use for DRS now and try to work together to try and close that gap up, as on the exit of Bruchel, getting a much better one than Laminen there was Vichy, and I think he's got that move done. He's up into 4th place. He might have that penalty, but the Shizou drivers are storming their way through this field.
Yeah, for sure, that soft tyre is working really well for both of them. Tony making some really good progress, and Jerny obviously building that huge gap now. I'm sure the medium drivers, they will be wanting to work together now, obviously not to let them get a huge, big enough gap so that even when they pit, it's too big for them to catch back up. So yeah, with the DRS chain now forming, I'm sure they'll be looking to work together now and kind of play it wisely, not to benefit their rivals. Because obviously creating a big enough gap for Jerny, when he pits onto mediums, he'll obviously have an undercut for both their still out all mediums. Despite them being on fresh tyres at the end, it might be too big a gap for them to make up. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Modesto and George work together now. And if they do, perhaps if they just choose to battle, and obviously we'll see how that plays out for Jerny.
Yeah, I think they can get away with battling on the DRS as long as they don't battle and fight each other too much. That should work out okay for them, swapping around every lap. Might in the end even be the best thing to do. The last few laps, Moldovan's got really close to Miklevčić going into the bus stop chicane, and both times Miklevčić has taken that line in the middle of the road. That has been enough to put Moldovan off, but the ET8 man is now a lot closer this time. We'll see whether he's close enough to think about a move down towards Lecombe. Is he going to try and send one on the soft tyres? Bit of a late defence from Miklevčić. Round the outside goes Moldova, and there's contact. They're both over the chicane, and the ET8 man has spun around there. They've been getting close to each other on a couple of occasions, and unfortunately that time just a tiny bit too much close. Miklevčić, I don't think, has lost any places in that. Moldovan, though, right down towards the back of the order. Do not be surprised if we see that one go to the stewards.
Yeah, going side by side through Lecombe is always super tricky, but it seems as if they didn't even get the opportunity to go side by side. It was more in the entry they made contact, and both of them just went straight on. Obviously with the cabs it does make it quite tricky. Obviously one driver will have to leave kind of an extra space, but it just seemed like on entry they made contact and pushed both of them wide. So yeah, that will probably be sent to the stewards, and I'm sure ETA will be super disappointed with that. As it seems in the chat, they do feel like it was Primos' fault. But yeah, we'll probably get both drivers' POV and get a clearer look at it.
Yeah, it did look like a late move from Miklevcic about a second before the contact, and then we obviously did see that contact. As we said, if you're stuck in a train and you want a set of the soft tyres, you might want to think about pitting around about lap 3 or lap 4. And on lap 4, here comes the other WOR car. Jonas Martens into the pits, fresh set of medium tyres on. They will get him towards the end of the race. Last lap was really the first lap. We haven't seen Dovzan get away too much. It has stayed at 4.2 seconds, and Adair is close to the back of Modesto Mena here. So are we going to see another swap round? It's been a bad 2 minutes for one ET8 driver. It's getting slightly better for the other one. Nadir up into second place, and just down that straight, just with that entire slipstream from La Source towards Lacombe, half a second gain. And that is the problem Dovzan's now got. His tyre advantage is getting worse, and he's not going to get the DRS. Whereas that was very clean from Nadir. Wouldn't have cost him any time. I'm sure he won't be too bothered if Mena just sweeps past him on the next lap.
Yeah, this is
exactly sorry to interrupt. Tony's in the wall. That was at the exit of No Name. We just saw a Shizou driver spinning around there. He has managed to recover the car, but Tony has gone off towards the wall. Whether he's got any damage or not, I'm not sure. That's not what you want to be doing, though. On a set of soft tyres, down now into 16th position.
Be gutting for the Ferrari driver and Shizou after such a great start, and he made really good progress to the field. Yeah, that's a grave shame for him. Obviously, pushing so hard on those soft tyres that are now wearing quite a bit, and probably just pushing it a little bit too hard, and that small mistakes cost him a lot. So yeah, that's a great shame for him, but that just shows the limit these drivers are on and how hard they're having to push in order to keep up with one another.
Yeah, and I think, we knew from his penalty earlier on that maybe he's just overstepped the limit on the odd occasion around this lap. Looks like he's done it again there, and I would not be surprised to see him as he doesn't come into the pits. Did seem pretty slow through Blanchimont, whether that was just, trying to take care of the tyres, or whether he just made a slight mistake coming through Paul Frere. I'm not too sure, but not ideal for him as one Shizou driver leads. Looks like the other one is going to have a massive task on his hands to get any points in this race. Coden N'Golo all over the back then of Matteo De Campo. This battle now for 7th and 8th place. TTG doing well with both of their drivers up towards the top as Mena and Nadir swap around, and Kodor just a bit too far behind to think about going for that move on that occasion. We are going to just get up the gap to the leaders. It's 30 seconds now between Jonas Martens and Yone Dovzan. We'll see whether that does start coming down. We'll also see the gap between Mena and Martins, because that could really be one to watch over the next few laps. Currently about 27 seconds deep. The older mediums are still going to be in good shape for at least the next 5 or 6 laps. Then they might just start struggling a bit more and probably start thinking about getting rid of them, putting on a fresh set of softs, and just seeing what they can do in the final stages.
Yeah, obviously these guys in the DRS chain having the benefit of the drag reduction system and gaining a lot of time on the straight. So yeah, Yona and obviously Yerny not having that, they will be losing time through that. But yeah, Yerny will probably start to lose a little bit more time, obviously with the softs now kind of past their peak. But he done a very good job in those first 4 or 5 laps, getting a 4+ second gap, and he's put himself in a good position for the rest of the race as the medium guys tried to just work together, obviously swapping every lap, gaining a little bit extra time, catching back up to him.
Yeah, it's like we said, it is working very well at the moment. Hello to all the new chatters and new followers that we are getting in the stream. If we could get ourselves up to 100 followers by the end of the day, that would be absolutely fantastic. 191 at the moment, of course, a famous number for a driver who made his debut around this track in 1991. Michael Schumacher qualifying 7th for the Jordan team. Unfortunately, he wasn't used to the clutch and burned it out on the start line. Nyquist right over the back of Laminen then, not close enough to really go for a move, and I feel like it's someone in this sort of region. Your Nyquist, Miklevcic, De Campo, Coden N'Golo, maybe even Duza or Haladej. Not yet, but possibly lap 12, lap 13. They could be one of the first drivers to think about putting on a set of soft tyres, knowing that they can get that undercut and knowing just how good the softs are against a set of new mediums, never mind worn mediums.
Yeah, for sure. Using the undercut here to gain track position could be a good tactic for many drivers, especially if you've got a good amount of battery saved up as Vincent has. You could use that whole battery on your in lap and your out lap to try and gain even gain one position in your DRS run, and that can give you a huge advantage, because when the car ahead of you does have DRS, it's extremely difficult to overtake, as we've seen Spinner, CRE, just in that race. So that's a shame for them. Obviously losing a lot of track position and then losing a lot of time to all the other cars. Through P1, it's a very difficult corner. Obviously, super high speed and very easy to make a mistake touching any curb or just losing the car on entry or exit.
Yeah, another driver who's had an issue is RJW Videos. I'm not sure he's actually still in the session because he's ghosting around. Seems to have lost a lot of places without any yellow flags popping up for him at any stage. He's now dropped behind Yona Martins, who you can see has gained a second on Dovzan and Maynard. And Dovzan's doing a good place at the start of the race. We've obviously spoken about how we're not sure this is the greatest strategy, but he's keeping that gap round about 4.5 seconds. I think we're probably, a lap or two over that crossover point. He might be starting to just struggle that tiny bit more, but he's doing a respectable job. Burned out a lot of ERS. That could be another reason why he's struggling on the straights. Someone who isn't struggling on the straights is Nadir, though. Closes into the back of Maynard. Nothing doing on this occasion. But he's got that gap, going back to Dovzan, he's got that gap back up above 4 seconds. He is doing very well at the moment. He should come out. When he comes into the pits, he probably will be in and around where his teammate is, so might find himself in a bit of traffic, which is less than ideal.
Yeah, he's done a great job, actually, despite the softs probably being past their best point. He's doing a really good job keeping that gap above 4 seconds. He even gained probably a little bit of time, as I think it did dip below 4 seconds. So yeah, whilst he has used his entire battery, he's definitely made use of those tyres and done the best job that he could do.
Yeah, certainly, and after it all, quite a few dramatic laps at the start of this race. We had Dovzan going up from 3rd to 1st. We've had his teammate spinning. We've seen issues between Moldovan and Miklevcic, where the EC8 managers and drivers in the chat, unsurprisingly, seem to think it was the fault of Moldovan. I'm sure any WR fans in the chat would probably think the opposite. Well, it'll be interesting to see, of course, what the stewards come with that one. There were some interesting moves going down the straight. I think that's all I'm going to say. And again, Nadir closes up to the back of Maynard, but not interested in going for the move on this occasion. Quite happy to just stay back. Quite happy to just stay in this train. Not do too much. Just save himself a bit of battery. Possibly even thinking about an overcut. Never mind an undercut.
Yeah, the McLaren drivers saved up a very good amount of ERS, almost on 90% now. So yeah, he's done himself very well there in that department. Obviously, having lots of battery can be a huge advantage in any scenario, really, whether you're defending or overtaking. So yeah, he's going to use a little bit of battery and re-overtake Modesto, as these two kind of just work together lap by lap, or every 2 laps, just re-overtaking and overtaking one another, to try and just close that gap little by little, or just try and not let it extend any more than what it already is.
Yeah, he's done a great job there. Yeah, George got the move done early on the straight, so whoever made a slight mistake as the tyres are getting older, and talking about maybe making mistakes as the tyres are getting older, we've had another spinner there, and that was coming through Bruchel. Kodan N'Golo was in the points. He now drops outside of the top 10 into 13th, so although one FVR driver is up towards the top, and definitely still a factor in winning this race, I think Kodon might have a bit of a job on to get any points, but Bahrain didn't go to plan for him, and he worked his way up the order throughout that race, ending up finishing in 4th place. This could be another one. Reyes gets a penalty for Skyzer there, down in 14th or 15th. They're going to need a safety car, maybe a bit of a miracle to get anything really big out of this race. Tony pitted on the last lap. That's not too surprising off that set of soft tyres, trying to get himself a bit of free air. The big question is going to be, when is the sole soft runner remaining going to come into the pits? When will we see Yerne Dovzan drive in? And there is your answer. Very tricky pit entry here at Spa-Francorchamps. Get it slowed down to 80 kilometres per hour, 50 miles per hour. Yerne Dovzan comes into the pits, and that shows you how good the medium tyres are, because Georges Nadir just sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, for sure. Now is the time for the medium drivers to push really hard and try and get an overcut, despite Yerne going onto fresh mediums. Of course, he'll have really good pace on those tyres, but the medium guys will try and extract every bit of performance they have left of those tyres before they come on to put in a fresh set of softs. So any ERS they saved up, any tyre saving they've done, will all be used now.
And I think there's your evidence of it all being used, because Georges Nadir has decided enough is enough of saving my battery, enough is enough of working as a team. He broke the DRS window for a split second there and got more than a second ahead of Maynard, as Halliday has got ahead of De Campo. He's now left the session, so he's going to start plummeting down the order. Fingers crossed he can get in. An absolute nightmare for Excel with that happening for RJW. And a nightmare, a few seconds for TTG. Laminen getting a 3-second time penalty. And De Campo disconnecting from the session. Hopefully, he is able to join sooner rather than later. And this is very interesting that Georges Adair has decided now is the point. Now is the time to go for it. He's trying for all it's worth to break that 1 second window. And who knows, if he does, this might be the move that gives him the victory of this race.
Yeah, for sure. A bold tactic to go to break DRS, obviously having to use your entire battery. But it's almost working out, but I don't think it has. Not quite. I think Modesso's just done enough to remain in the DRS, so George will probably be a little bit disappointed as he's used his entire battery, but Modesso's just done enough. And FVR drive will be quite pleased, obviously he probably had to work quite hard to remain in the DRS, but he's done enough, and we can just, as obviously George is out battery, he won't have much to use now to try and break it. But yeah, Laminen picking up that time penalty is obviously going to make his race a lot more difficult as well. He was in a good position, but with no one else. I mean, Primoz has got a time penalty, but no one else really in the top 5 or top 6 has a time penalty, so he's going to drop a lot of places. That 3-second time penalty, obviously Mattea having that disconnect is obviously really unfortunate. As Benny in the chat is all he's asking for is a normal race for both of his drivers, so yeah, a bit disappointing for Mattea obviously disconnecting and Laminen with the pen, but we'll see if they can both have a little bit more fortune towards the end of the race.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. Jose Manuel has had to come in. We saw the brief yellow flag on that lap. I think it was involving him. He's put a fresh set of soft tyres on. Interestingly, that Douza has gone very early for that fresh set of the soft tyres. He pitted the lap before, so that would have been at the end of lap 9 coming in for a set of softs. They're going to be second hand, I think is the kindest way of putting it towards the end of the race. Punctured, probably another way of putting it. He might struggle with that. We know anything over 75% and you're in the hands of the Pirelli tyre gods as to whether you are going to have any rubber left and any air left in your tyres towards the end. As you can see there, Mattia just dropping down the order. Such a shame for him. He was up there in that lead train. He is now just plummeting. Fingers crossed he is able to rejoin. Yerne Dovzam, he got himself ahead of Reyes, ahead of all these drivers as well. He's now in 11th place, in some free air, 15 seconds off the lead. You'd expect him to just be able to catch up now, and this is crucial for him. He's got to build as much of a gap as possible, yet somehow keep something in his tyres that he can fight if needed at the end. It's a delicate balance, to put it mildly.
Yeah, for sure. He's got quite a task ahead. Trying to obviously keep some battery for when the medium runners do pit, and obviously keeping high performance in check as well, whilst also keeping up a good pace, because he wants as big a gap as possible, because he will know those guys will be gaining huge amounts of time once they do pit. But if he has a big enough gap and a good amount of ERS and tyres left, perhaps with battling behind as well, could fall his way. So yeah, for now he's done a really good job. These first 12 laps, he's pretty much done his race perfectly up until this point. Cleared the medium runners very quickly and created a good gap, and had a clean pit stop and no issues so far. Hopefully, don't mean to jinx him in any way, but yeah, as long as his race continues as it has been so far, I'm sure he'll be looking on for a strong finish.
Yeah, he will indeed. We've just seen there, Cudden N'Golo is managing to, similar to what we saw last week, work his way back up the order, getting ahead of Alberto Barros. So, two Spanish drivers swapping around for 8th and 9th place. It's really closed up at the front of the field with the other FVR driver as well. Modesto Mena is now half a second off the back of Georges Adair. Laminen about half a second behind him. Again, half a second back to Nyquist, with Primoz Miklevčić just trying for all his worth to stay on the back of this train as we go on to, at the end of this one, lap number 13. We've only got 10 laps to go in this race. It always flies by at Spa, being such a long circuit in terms of the number of laps, and won't be too far away before we start seeing some of these medium runners towards the front of the order starting to think about when are they going to go for their pit stops, and can they maybe try something different? Can they get a bit of a steal on their rivals in front? Nadir, a bit of a late decision there, but he's gone for it. Georges Nadir into the pit at the end of lap number 12. This is about as early as you would ideally want to do for a normal one-stop strategy from medium to softs around here. He is coming in, and we'll see where he comes out relative to Dovzam.
Yeah, perhaps George pitting a little bit early, trying to get an undercut on the guys behind, maybe trying to break DRS, and give himself a sole opportunity against Yerne without having to deal with any battles from cars behind. Although cars might work together in the DRS lane to try and gain that time as they did in the first stint, but perhaps George isn't interested in that, and he's interested in solely just working on his own and using those fresh soft tyres to catch back up to the net race leader.
Yeah, we saw Miklevchich come in as well. I think Noel Carman coming in the lap before. Kango Con, Alberto Barros, Reyes coming in for Skeisers. That has sort of just been the catalyst for everyone coming towards the pit lane and wanting to get rid of those medium tyres, put on a fresh set of softs and see what they can do. Noel Carman's breezed past Jona Martins. You can see there the red light flashing on the back of the WR man. He's going to have a very tough end to this race, I think. He's in 11th place at the moment. He's just going to get swamped by some soft runners. I think unfortunately for him, De Campo still unable to join the session, so he's plummeting. Any chance of points for him has gone completely out of the window. Maynard leading from Lanningham, from Nyquist, and surely they've got to come on this lap to react to the pit stop of Georges Nadir, and even then, they're probably going to drop outside of the DRS range.
Yeah, with that strategy call from George, he probably has done enough to break DRS these guys, although Modesto has used his entire battery to try and probably in an attempt to try and stay within George's DRS, but it's probably a failing effort because those fresh soft tyres will have such a huge advantage over these worn mediums now. He's getting a bit loose coming into pits, but yeah, all these guys trying to lose as little time as they can by pitting this lap. I don't think anyone will really stay out unless kind of forced to their teammates picking them up.
Yeah, I mean, even for FAR, Kodo Ningolo had enough of a gap back to Modesto Maynard that he thought it was worth coming into the pits. Might lose a second by doing that, but he'd probably lose a lot more if he stayed out on a set of the medium tyres. So here is your race leader. As you can see from the pit stops at the moment, everyone apart from De Campo and RJW who've had their connection issues have come into the pits. It is Dovzan in the lead from Duza Nadir, and I think it's going to be from Nadir then Duza, and also it's going to be Modesto Maynard getting ahead of Primoz Miklovic. You can just see the Alpha Tauri breezing around the outside. 2.5 seconds, the gap now between Maynard and Nadir. That is going to be one to watch out for. And you've got Duza up there in third place for CRE. He's tried something different here, and it has given him a chance of getting a brilliant result. He's just got to sort of pray that those soft tyres can hold on.
Yeah, he's done something different with the strategy, and for now he's given himself track position, and if he is able to stick just behind a car with DRS, that could massively benefit him and help him bring up a strong result for his team. Doing something different can always, puts yourself in a different position, and it's worked out for him so far. As already George is so close to Yanni Dawson, and it looks like Yanni's going to have a long end to this race. He's going to have to be quite wise with his battles. Try and pick who he's going to battle quite wisely, obviously with ERS, etc. And he's going to have to be very careful towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing in his favour at the moment, is he's got about 15% more ERS than Georges Nadir. Everything else is working against the Shazoo driver, and I think very soon, we said it might be a long fight for him in this race. I think it could be a very short fight indeed. Nadir, if there was no DRS, would have gone for it there, down towards turn number 1. He is clambering all over the back of the Slovenian driver, and I think soon we're going to see the pole man retake the lead of this race, and could he just streak away at the front of the field, just about as close as he'd dare to be to the back of the car in front. There's nothing Dovzan can do. As Georges Nadir, DRS open, breezes into the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. Are we going to see Duza be able to follow through as well on Yerney Dovzan? No, he has to stay behind for now. Miklavčić getting close to Maynard. Well, there we go. Georges Nadir in the lead. Now he's got 2 cars, you've got to say, in between him and his main rival in this race, which you would still expect to be Modesto Maynard. And it could be crucial depending on where Maynard catches up to these two if he wants to have any chance of fighting for this win.
Yeah, I think George pulled a good choice in getting that undercut and getting himself free from the cars behind, and now he has the opportunity to break DRS to Dovzan and just kind of run his own race now, break DRS from any car behind, and yeah, he can just have a relatively calm end to the race.
As calm as,
Modesto.
Yeah, I was about to say, as calm as a race you can have in Formula 1.
Yeah, exactly. Formula 1, you can't really have a calm race, but yeah, he's made it as easy as he can for himself. He's broke DRS to Yerney and broke DRS to all the cars behind, so Modesto's got a little bit of a task ahead of him, having to get past another soft runner who's obviously on further worn softs, but still soft tyres, and Dovzan's a little bit further ahead, but I'm sure they'll probably work their way past him, as Primoz has got 6 seconds worth of time penalties, which probably affect his finishing position massively with others. A couple cars behind actually not having penalties, but they are quite far behind. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Lamnin and Vincent can keep it down to 3 seconds and gain that position on him.
Yeah, Jonah Martins, as we expected, is just getting a bit swamped here. We've seen Coda N'Golo get ahead of him and Alberto Barros there trying to get the move done. Is he going to get the switch back done out to La Source? This is going to be an interesting one from the Spaniard. They go side by side once again, and he's just about got the move done. Still, Jonah Martins is trying to hold off. Found the outside of Radion on a set of medium tyres. How on earth has he managed to hold on to that position? And now they're both battling with the DRS off the car in front. There's a bit of wheel bagging, and can Martins fight down the inside of Coda N'Golo? Not on this occasion, but take your hat off to Jonah Martins. It looked for all the world as if Alberto Barros had got that move done, yet somehow the WR man was able to hold on.
That was incredible battling from the both of them, and very good driving from Jonah to hang on and keep ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Don't know how he managed it, but yeah, that was a move. Yeah, even Kane's Mickey in the chat, noticing the great racing that we're having in the TTG Esports Invitational.
No, that is going to take some beating, and I think at the moment it is going to take some beating. 2.2 seconds ahead. Modesto Mena there working his way past Duza, who's just starting to see the downside of his strategy as he drops down the field. RJW videos gets his first time penalty. You won't be too fussed about that one. It's intriguing that we've not been able to see here Duza get all over the back and overtake Dovzan, despite having what you'd still expect, 5-lap-old softs to be good against the 5-lap-old medium tyres. He was not able to get it done. The Dovzan is hanging on to second place. For how much longer, I'm not sure, because he's now got Modesto Mena all over the back of him. He's a very quick driver. I've seen him in another league go from last to first around here. Don't think he's going to quite get first today, but you never know. If George picks up a penalty and Dovzan tries to break the toe at the top of the hill, almost in vain. Almost in vain. There's nothing he can do. The junior team of Alpha Tauri gets ahead, and the senior team of Red Bull moving his way up as well. Thomas Leminen getting up into 4th place as Miklevcic and Nyquist. We've seen Miklevcic have a bit of fun before coming around Lecombe, and this time it all works out well for him. He stays ahead of the Intrepid driver. And Intrepid, one of the few teams, just trying to look through the order here, they might well be the only team at the moment to have both of their drivers in the top 10.
Yeah, the two Alpines have been good races, just like Bahrain. Both of them solid drives, just avoiding any madness, minimising mistakes, and just picking up on any cars having any issues. So yeah, both of them with strong drives so far, and I'm sure both of them will be looking to bring home more points for the team.
Yeah, but as it stands at the moment, Nyquist would gain a place on Miklevcic and wouldn't drop any from having that 3 seconds of time penalty. So if there's a safety car, things could change quite wildly, of course, but hopefully we don't get one. Nyquist here, is he going to think about one round the outside at Blanchimont? Again, there's a bit of wheel banging. Nyquist makes that work. We're seeing some fantastic moves here today. Miklevcic tries to cut back down the inside into the bus stop chicane. Just a bit too over-ambitious and not able to get that one work. Nyquist is 12, Miklevcic is a PC Challengers driver. Just, showing no respect there, and who can blame him? He got the move done, fair and square. The Alpine up into 6th.
Yeah, fantastic move from Vincent. Just showing his class, despite only being 12 years old. It just shows the amount of potential this kid has, and perhaps we could see him in F1 Esports at some point.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, and you can see he's moving another place up at the moment, getting himself ahead of Duza as Dovzan drops back, or does he? No, again defending the move on that older set of the medium tyres. Gets himself, stays ahead of Laminen, and with 4 out of the 5 drivers ahead behind him, now having a penalty, now that Halliday has got him, you wouldn't write him off sticking onto the podium in this race. He started in 3rd place, he's tried something different, and who knows, after all that, he might end up staying in 3rd place. The top 3 are as they were at the start of the race. In fact, the top 6 are as they were in the start of the race. Barros, the biggest winner, gaining 8 places, but it looks like it's not going to be enough for him to gain any points. You've got to love how you've got all the different strategies, all the different things that have happened, and somehow the top 6 are as they were, despite us seeing moves for position almost every lap.
Yeah, we've seen some really good racing throughout the race. But yeah, it's just like qualifying, the top 6 have they just are where they are. Yerny has done a really good job, despite being on a different strategy. He's pretty much maximised as much as he could. Perhaps does maybe regret not going for the strategy that other drivers have gone for, but you have to admire him taking a different strategy and taking a little bit more risk. And unfortunately, he didn't really reap the rewards of it. But yeah, you have to admire him for trying something different.
Yeah, it's great to see. Whether it's going to work out or not, it's not looking too bad at the moment. Should still get himself a decent amount of points, although he is coming under all sorts of pressure from Lamanen, Nyquist, Miklavčič behind. But as long as he can stay within penalty range, he's not going to be too bad. That is 3 seconds for this man. And there we go, Lamanen getting that move done so early, pretty much through the exit of Radion. That move was complete, and Nyquist being able to follow him through as well. So Dovzan goes from 3rd to 5th in the space of about 500 metres. As long as he can stay within DRS range, though, I would not write him out. Kangokon looking good for Excel. They're on for their first points of the season at the moment, as are ADRT, just about with Haladej, as are WOR with Miklavčič. So it looks like at the end of today, every single team will have scored a point this season, which is brilliant to see. Kodan N'Golo gets a penalty, pretty much securing that Haladej will get a point unless he picks up another time penalty also. At the lead of the race, we haven't spoken about him too much since he took the lead. He's starting to show the pace that he did in qualifying. Georges Nader is now 2 seconds ahead with 3 and a bit laps to go. Barring a mistake, it's going to be hard for Maynard to catch up.
Yeah, George has drove a very good race. As we said, he's pretty much made the race as easy as he could towards the end of the race. So yeah, he's had a pretty as calm as you can have the last few laps. As Jose Manuel, I think he's had a crash.
Not calm anymore.
Yeah, safety car as well. So yeah, that's going to throw up a huge obstacle now for George. Obviously having that huge gap and breaking DRS is all gone now, so he's going to have to manage a safety car restart. As we see Yerny Dovsa in pit, and he's going to go into a fresh set of softs. So can he make progress in what few laps, if we do have a few laps of racing left? Yeah, that'll be interesting to see now with George having to deal with the safety car restart and different drivers with different time penalties. Obviously that'll hurt them as well, but with everyone closing up once again, it'll be interesting to see.
Will be interesting. It's an interesting one to go for that pit stop. Yes, you've got the fresh set of soft tyres, but Dovzan lost quite a few track position there. You know, he's dropped behind Haladej and Kangokon and Kodan N'Golo. Yes, most of them, apart from Kangokon, have got penalties, so he's not too bad. And all of a sudden here, in fact, the Excel man, again, a team that didn't score many points last time out, he's going to get some points. He's going to get a podium, as things stand at the moment. But there's still 2 laps to go. We'd expect the safety car to be coming in at the end of this lap. Normally, it's fixed that you do get 2 laps of racing, so there won't be any DRS. They've all saved the battery. They've all tried to burn a bit of fuel off. As you can see, Nader just absolutely wrecking the guts out of that V6 hybrid Mercedes power unit at the moment, just trying to burn those extra last bits of fuel. I think we'll see the majority of the field close up. The only one who won't is Tecampo, who's not in the session. But I think even RJW Video should get onto the back of this field by the time the safety car comes in. So we are going to be in for one hell of an end to this Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it should be a good end. George will probably be gutted after all the hard work that he done for the first 20 laps. He'll probably feel like he's a little bit unlucky to get a safety car. But yeah, an interesting choice for Yerny to pit. Obviously 4 cars ahead with time penalties. He'll probably be looking to make some overtakes and try and get himself in perhaps a better position than what he was already in. But that's going to be quite difficult. I don't know. Probably won't be able to challenge Modesto or George, but it certainly gives an opportunity to Modesto for the race win now, as neither of the top 2 have time penalties. So yeah, we could be in for a good end and possibly a good battle for the lead.
Yeah, he's only really lost 1 place in all of that, has Dovzan, because of the penalty situation for those ahead. And you can see Miklavčič, he's going to lose quite a lot. He came into the pits on that lap. Rishi's going to drop towards the back of the field as well. Safety car is coming in, as we expected at the end of this lap. And it's all about when does Nader go. We've already seen how powerful the slipstream can be at the start of a race down the Camel Straight. It's going to be just as powerful on a safety car restart, and Adair has gone for it. He left a long gap to the safety car, and you can see why. He's gone pretty early there before we get to the bus stop chicane. Adair has gone. Maynard is able to follow him. Doesn't look like Lamon and Nyquist and Halliday should be able to get too close. In fact, Nyquist is in all sorts of trouble coming out of the bus stop chicane and might find himself getting challenged by Jan Halliday, who's not able to get anything done in the end. But it's still Adair, Maynard, Lamon and Conan N'Golo has sent one on Kango Con there, and that's going to put Kango Con under some pressure from Yerde Dovzan. A possible podium has just gone out the window for Excel. Is Dovzan going to go for it round the outside? Atto Rouge and Radion, is he going to go for it? He's another one who has made that move work. My goodness me. We're seeing some brilliant racing here, and it's not ended yet. Dovzan, Kango Con, Conan N'Golo, Miklavcic. Who's going to come out on top? It is the Shazoo driver in the end of Yerde Dovzan and Kango Con. Fighting hard with Miklavcic and Conan N'Golo. There's a bit of front wing gone there. And I think that might have actually been a bit of the Mercedes of Miklavcic with some damage. Although, saying that, he's got ahead of Kango Con. So whether that was a bit of side pod and not front wing, I'm not so sure. Extremely close there. Duza dropping down the order. But a decent restart from Georges Adair. He retains the lead of this race. Got to hold on for another 1.5 laps.
Yeah, George has done enough, but we saw some insane battling just behind for 5th, 6th and 7th. Yanni pulling up an insane move again. We saw Drew Rouge and Radion, but yeah, how close do you want it? As close as F1 cars can really get, but yeah, we have a lot of battery. Both drivers have a lot of battery to use, as Isma from F1 wants to know George's battery, but I think Modesto and George are on very similar battery levels, but Modesto obviously will have that slipstream, and we'll be seeing who will be willing to take many risks, obviously, because it's a team championship, so you want to bring home as many points as you can without obviously risking too much. So we'll see how close Modesto can get, and perhaps if he can pull a move on George.
Yeah, there's been contact there. Conan N'Golo and Yona Martins making a bit of contact. Yona Martins, I think in the end, Kodo decided to just let himself have that position. Here we go then. This could be it. This could be the victory right here. A final lap battle. ETA in the lead. FER in second place. Where have we seen that one before? Just 1 week ago. And this time, Maynard nearly loses it. Going into Lacombe. Just, I think, ran a bit wide in the braking zone. Touched the grass. Locked the rears up. And that could well have been any chance of him getting a podium over. And that might well be any chance of him getting a race win over. Dovzan fights his way past Nyquist. He is going to get a podium as long as he doesn't get a penalty here. Turns out stopping onto the set of soft tyres was the right thing to do. There's yellow flags further back. Not sure. That's from Reyes, who might have had an issue. We've got Carlman dropping down the order as well. This has been a dramatic final few laps, all because of that safety car. And there goes Dovzan down the inside of Lamon and didn't need to make that move. Well, maybe he's thinking that his soft tyres are good enough to possibly even have a go for Maynard at the end of this race. It is Georges Adair in the lead. It looks like he has done enough. Dovzan is closing up like crazy onto the back of Modesto Maynard here. There could be a move for second place. Going into the bus stop chicane, it is going to have to be one hell of a dive bomb. It's going to have to be a move round the outside from Yerde Dovzan on a fresh set of soft tyres. There's contact between the two of them. Not sure who's going to get the position there. It is Nadir who takes the win here. Maynard in second place. Dovzan in third. Laminan in fourth. Kango Kong gets promoted to fifth, keeping it clean. Proving to be the best thing. Laminan, Nyquist, Haladaj, Barros and Miklavcic, the final points finishers. Another absolutely crazy race here in the TTG Invitational.
Yeah, another fantastic race. We saw some great side-by-side battling on various different parts of the track. So yeah, a very good race. And George deservedly the winner. And as Modesto also drove a great race, but I felt like George, from the moment we started quali, he seemed like he was the man to beat. And he was. He took pole kind of comfortably with it. And during the race, he managed his race perfectly, created a gap before the safety car, and even off the safety car restart, he managed it perfectly and done enough to keep Modesto behind.
Yeah, that's it in the end. He just managed his race brilliantly, and in the end, Modesto, from possibly that slight mistake into Lacombe, cost him a chance of the win. Probably came a few yards from costing him a chance on second place as well. But it is Georges Adair who takes the victory. Modesto Maynard is in third place. In second place, he'll be very happy with that one. Yerne Dovzan, fastest lap, started third, finished third. Not too bad to consider he was on the suboptimal strategy. Jona Martins recovered to finish in fourth. Kango Kon in fifth. Lemonen in sixth. Nyquist, Haladaj, Alberto Barras and Primoz Miklovcic round out your points finishers. Kodan N'Golo just missing out. Just in that race, Moldovan, Rishi, RJW Videos, Reyes, Noel Carman, Duza, Mateo De Campa, obviously disconnected, and Jose causing that safety car in the end, which really led to all sorts of chaos at the end of the race, but George Adair was able to deal with it.
Yeah, George seemed to be able to tackle any obstacle that came in his way this whole race, and yeah, deserved the winner. Modesto, yeah, he got the P2. It seemed like he locked his fares in the final lap, but managed to do enough to keep that P2 and really good points for FER. So yeah, I'm sure many teams will be very pleased with the results that they got tonight, and others will probably be looking forward to next week to try and make up for any disappointing results they got tonight.
Yeah, you can see the calendar scrolling through the screen. There's Saudi Arabia, Imola, Brazil, and I think every time I've been at Saudi Arabia, I've seen some sort of last lap battle. It looks like there might be a similar sort of pattern here. We are just going to drag in some of our top drivers and get ready for the interviews, and we're going to start with our race winner, the first win this season for ET8. It is George Adair. George, can you hear us?
Yep, I can.
Congratulations on that victory. It looked, up until lap 20, well, lap 19, that it was going to be fairly straightforward for you. Tell us how things felt after that safety car.
Well, yeah, as you said, like I was kind of happy that obviously I had a 2-second gap to Modesto and P2, and I could see I could manage it. I was gaining around like 2/10, sometimes losing 2/10, but like I felt I could manage the gap. And then yeah, the safety car came in. To be honest, I thought it might be a last lap shootout, but yeah, kind of disappointed that it had gone after one lap only.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I've never seen a safety car stay out until one lap to go on this game, so I wonder whether that's a bit of a thing they can maybe add for F1 2022. Tell us about qualifying. One of the biggest gaps I've ever seen anyone having a qualifying session. I know it's a long track, but you must have been very happy with that lap.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know what's my story with Spa. Like, I'm really good at Spa, but I don't really like it. So, yeah, I mean, it felt good. I mean, I did a couple of mistakes because I was trying to keep it safe. So, yeah, when you don't drive on in your zone, then you start doing mistakes. But yeah, it felt good enough for pole, and as you said, like a good enough gap.
Yeah, worked out fantastically for you. Ayub, any questions for our race winner?
I'd just like to congratulate him. It seemed like you were the man to beat from qualifying. You seemed like you just won the whole time qualifying and in the race. So congratulations, a great result for you.
Cheers, I appreciate that. Thank you both.
Yeah, and just one more question. I don't know whether you'll be racing next time out, but Jeddah, what are your thoughts if you are racing at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix next week?
We were just discussing that with my engineer now, but I mean, most probably I am racing. I really like the track. I've never done a league race, like a proper one at Jeddah, but yeah, I really like the track, the flow of the first sector. So I hope I could really do what I did today again.
Yeah, and if you can, watch out everyone else. So congratulations, George. I'll let you head off and chat a bit more with your engineer about that.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
We're now going to bring in our third place finisher. Unfortunately, Modesto is unable to make it. It is Yerne Dovzan, and Yerne keeps so close to getting second place on that final lap. Tell us how you saw things from your point of view, because it looked like there was a bit of contact.
Yeah, the overtake on the last lap into the chicane, I think it's partially my fault because I turned in too early into him, and then the contact model of this game obviously did its work, and I also braked too early because for some reason I thought you have to brake at 100 meters for that corner. I don't know why. I guess pressure, but yeah, it was an amazing race.
Yeah, definitely worked out absolutely, as we said, absolutely brilliantly for you. You went for the soft tyres at the start of the race, and that worked out brilliantly. You were able to have a fantastic turn number one, and then you went for the softs after the safety car. Were you tempted to stay out on the mediums, or did you just think you'd be in too much trouble for the cars behind?
I think I wouldn't be in much trouble, but I would be a guaranteed third place, I think, with all the penalties that other people had. But I decided to spice things up a little bit with the soft tires because it's the advantage is pretty huge if you have like 6 laps older tires, because it's such a long lap, and I just decided to put on the softs and go for it.
Yeah, why not? Why not have a bit of fun? Ayub, any questions for Yerne?
Oh, just I thought you maximised the strategy very well. Do you regret doing the soft medium, or do you think that was like the right call for you and your team?
I'm really comfortable on this track in my raw pace, so I just decided to switch to like have a different strategy for once and just go for it, you know.
Yeah, you've done a great job. Obviously breaking the DRS to George and having a mega first stint. So yeah, congratulations on your podium.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, Yerne. You've done 2 races so far. Guessing you'll be back at Jeddah. Is that another circuit where you think you can do well and possibly get another podium?
I think I'll have to practice for that one because my sector 1 there is horrendous. Like, I'm nowhere.
I think I compared my Sector 1 to Jarno Otme around there, which is not the best thing to do. Never again.
I feel you.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tough track to get right. Congratulations, Yerne, on your podium, though, and we'll let you head off.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
See ya.
that is pretty much it then for that stream. 2 drivers who seemed very happy with their performances today, and who can blame them? George, clearly with the pace, getting a brilliant win, cut for a redemption for ET8 after what happened last week. And Yerne Dovzan getting a good result for Shazoo with 3rd place on that different strategy. If we thought that was crazy, just imagine what Saudi Arabia might be like next week.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is always a crazy Grand Prix. All the walls, often result in many cars DNFing and many safety cars, etc. So it'll be probably a really good Grand Prix. Obviously, the DRS zones as well tend to lean towards very close racing. Many DRS chains, not huge gaps. So very much like every league race in this game, we'll see a lot of drivers close to one another, and yeah, it'll be interesting with the free tyre choices. We'll see probably varied strategy again, as we saw some support for Yerne in the chat, and some violations as well for my sector 1 in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be another great race next week, and look forward to seeing everyone there again.
Yeah, definitely look forward to seeing that one. Make sure to keep an eye on our sister channel here, the _Masters_League, for the TTML F1 action tomorrow. They are racing around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. And keep an eye on that Twitch channel and League Racing TV for all of the action as well. You'll be able to see the rerun of this race on there if you missed anything. And trust me, it is definitely one that you are going to want to rewatch. But we'll be back same time, same place next week for round number 3 of the season. The FVR ET8 battle continues once more. It's 1-1 between the 2 of them. Will one of them take an advantage next time around, or will we see another team join the championship battle? For myself and Ayub, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.